Wala na sila, Lara. Ang bawat salita mula sa tita Mildred ko ay parang mga pako na ibinabaon sa dibdib ko, bawat isa mas malalim, mas masakit. Aksidente sa probinsya. Yung bus na sinasakyan ng mama at papa mo, nahulog sa bangin. Isang iglap, ulila na ako. Sa susunod na iglap, palaboy na. The world tilted. Parang nanonood ako ng isang napakasamang pelikula, at ako ang bida na hindi alam kung anong gagawin. Ang ingay ng paligid, biglang naging muffled, parang may bulak sa tenga ko. Si parents. Loving, sometimes overbearing, but always their parents. Gone. Just like that. Lara, Ija, Tita Mildred's voice, usually matinis at masakit sa tenga, sounded distant. Wala na kaming extra na kwarto dito. Alam mo na, maliit lang ang bahay namin. At saka, yung mga gamit nyo kailangan na rin naming ilabas para may maupahan na iba yung apartment nyo. Hindi ako nakasagot. Ano bang isasagot ko? Please, tita, kahit sa sahig lang ako matulog. Please, tita, bigyan nyo pa ako ng ilang araw. The words wouldn't form para akong napipi. All I could manage was a nod. A stupid, numb nod. Kinagabihan, dala ang isang duffel bag na naglalaman ng ilang damit at mga gamit na naisalba ko. Pinalayas na ako. Yes, pinalayas. Walang seremonya. Walang tea condolence, Ija. Yung pinto ng apartment namin, na dati-rati bukas para sa akin, isinara sa harap ko na parang isa akong asong kalye. The rain started to fall. Typical. Parang eksena sa drama. Umuulan at ako, basang-basa, nakatayo sa labas ng gate ng dati naming inuupahan. Yung gate na dati binubuksan ko lang gamit ang sarili kong susi. Ngayon, nakakandado na. May bago na sigurong padlock. Umupo ako sa gilid ng kalsada, sa tapat ng isang sarado ng sari-sari store. The concrete was cold, and the rain was relentless. Nanginginig ako, hindi lang sa lamig, kundi sa takot. Saan ako pupunta? Sino ang lalapitan ko? The phone, low bat na, at wala na rin akong load. Perfect. Binuksan ko ang duffel bag ko. May isang cup noodles doon na bigay ng kaklase ko nung isang araw. Pampainit ng tiyan, sabi niya. Kung alam lang niya. Kinuha ko yon pero paano ko naman lulutuin? Walang mainit na tubig. Walang kahit ano. Napahagulhol na lang ako. Doon, sa gilid ng kalsada, sa ilalim ng malakas na ulan, umiyak ako ng umiyak. Para akong bata na nawawala. At totoo naman, nawawala talaga ako. Hindi ko na alam kung nasaan ang lugar ko sa mundong ito. Miss? Nag-angat ako ng tingin. Isang payong ang nakatabing sa akin, pinipigilan ang ilan sa mga patak ng ulan. Sa likod ng payong, isang pamilyar na mukha. Medyo basa ang buhok niya at may namumuong butil ng tubig sa kanyang salamin. Sir Emil. Lil's voice was hoarse, almost whisper. Si Sir Emil, ang bago naming English teacher. Mga 2 months pa lang siya sa school. Bata pa, siguro mga mid-20s. Gwapo, sabi ng mga kaklase ko. Tahimik lang siya, pero mabait. Lara, right? Anong ginagawa mo dito? It's almost midnight. His voice was gentle, laced with concern. Nakita niya siguro ang namumugto kong mga mata, ang basang-basa kong damit. O wala po, sir. Napasandal lang. Sinubukan kong humiti, pero sigurado akong mukha lang akong asong nalulunod. He frowned. Sa ganitong oras? At umuulan pa? Delikado dito, Lara. Where do you live? Ihahatid na kita. Umiling ako. Huwag na po, sir. Okay lang po ako. Layer. I was anything but okay. He looked at me, then at my duffel bag, then back at me. Parang may naget siya. A flicker of something crossed his face, pity. Understanding. Hindi ko masabi. Tara, he said, his voice a bit firmer now. Sumama ka muna sa akin. Hindi pwedeng dito ka lang. Nag-aalangan akong tumayo. Saan po tayo pupunta, sir? Sa faculty room. Nandoon ang gamit ko. At least doon, hindi ka mababasa. At may mainit na tubig doon para sa noodles mo. He gestured towards the cup noodles na hawak ko pa rin pala. Hindi na ako umimik. Sumunod na lang ako sa kanya. Naglakad kami pabalik sa school. Tahimik lang. The only sound was the rain and our footsteps splashing on the wet pavement. Ang lapit lang pala ng school sa dati naming apartment. Irony of ironies. Pagdating namin sa faculty room, binuksan niya ang ilaw. It was a small, cramped room, filled with desks, books, and the smell of old paper and coffee. Pero sa mga oras na yon, para sa akin, ito ang pinaka-safe na lugar sa buong mundo. Maupo ka muna, sabi ni Sir Emil, tinuturo ang isang lumang rattan chair sa sulok. Kukuha lang ako ng towel. Naiwan akong mag-isa. Pinagmasdan ko ang paligid. Mga test papers na nakatambak, mga libro, isang whiteboard na may mga nakasulat na reminders for homeroom. This was his world. A world so different from mine, especially now. Bumalik si Sir Emil, may dalang maliit na tuwalya. Medyo kupas na pero malinis. Eto. Medyo maliit pero pwede na yan. Salamat po, sir. Kinuha ko yon at pinunasan ang buhok at braso ko. Nanginginig pa rin ako. May extra akong t-shirt dito, kung gusto mo, alok niya, medyo nahihiya. Malinis yan. Baka mas lalo kang lamigin sa basang damit mo. Umiling ako. Wag na po, sir. Nakakahiya naman po. He didn't insist. Instead, kumuha siya ng electric kettle mula sa ilalim ng desk niya, nilagyan ng tubig at isinaksak. Maya-maya, kumukulo na yon. Kinuha niya ang cup noodles ko. Ako na. Umupo ka lang dyan. Pinanood ko siyang magtimpla ng noodles. His movements were efficient, almost graceful. He poured the hot water, covered the cup, and then placed it on a small table near me. Hintayin mo lang ng 3 minutes. Tahimik ulit. Ang awkward. Ano bang dapat kong sabihin? Thank you for not leaving me to die in the rain, sir. Lara, he began, breaking the silence. Umupo siya sa swivel chair sa tapat ng desk niya, facing me. Anong nangyari? Bakit ka nasa labas kanina? Huminga ako ng malalim. The warmth of the faculty room was slowly seeping into my bones, but the chill inside me remained. Wala na po sila mama at papa, I blurted out, and the tears started falling again. This time, mas tahimik. Parang gripo na tumutulo. Nakita ko ang gulat sa mukha ni Sir Emil. What? What do you mean wala na? Inaaksidente po sila. Sa probinsya. Kagabi pa po. Oh my God, Lara. I'm so sorry. His voice was filled with genuine sympathy. Lumapit siya sa akin pero hindi niya ako hinawakan. He just stood there, looking helpless. Your relatives? Nasaan sila? Pipinalayas na po nila ako sa apartment. Wala na raw pong lugar para sa akin. The words hung in the air. Ang bigat. Sir Emil ran a hand through his already damp hair. Hindi tama yon. They can't just do that. Pero alam naming pareho na ginawa na nila. Kainin mo na yung noodles mo, sabi niya, trying to sound normal. Baka lumamig pa. Sinunod ko siya. I ate the noodles slowly. It was the best thing I had tasted all day. Siguro dahil gutom na ako. O siguro dahil may kasama ako. Habang kumakain ako, nakatitig lang siya sa akin. Hindi yung titig na parang husgahan ka, kundi yung titig na parang naiintindihan ka. O sinusubukang intindihin. Saan ka matutulog ngayong gabi? Tanong niya, mahina. Nagkibit balikat ako. Hindi ko pa po alam, sir. He sighed. Hindi ka pwedeng matulog sa kalsada. At hindi rin pwedeng dito ka sa faculty room. Baka may makakita sa atin bukas ng umaga. Tumango ako. Alam ko iyon. Another problem. May maliit akong apartment, hindi kalayuan dito, sabi niya, parang nag-aalangan ulit. Pwede ka munang doon. Kahit ngayong gabi lang. Para makapag-isip ka kung anong gagawin mo. Napatingin ako sa kanya. Nakakahiya naman po, sir. Sobra-sobra na po ang naitulong nyo. Ano ka ba, he said, a small smile playing on his lips. It's the least I can do. No student of mine should be out on the streets. Hindi ko alam kung anong sasabihin. Tears welled up in his eyes again. This time, tears of gratitude. May tao pa palang mabuti sa mundo. Thank you po, sir. Thank you po talaga. He just nodded. Tapusin mo na yung pagkain mo. Then we'll go. Pagkatapos kong kumain, iniligpit ni Sir Emil ang pinagkainan ko. Kinuha niya ang sarili niyang bag at yung payong. Ready? Tumango ako. Medyo gumaan na ang pakiramdam ko, pero nandito pa rin ang kaba. First time kong makakapunta sa bahay ng isang teacher. At lalaki pa. Naglakad kami ulit sa ulan, pero this time, hindi na ako masyadong nanginginig. The umbrella he held covered us both. Ang lapit namin sa isa't isa. Naamoy ko ang banayad niyang pabango, mixed with the scent of rain and coffee. His apartment was small, a studio-type unit sa isang lumang building. Pero malinis at maayos. May isang kama, isang maliit na mesa at 2 upuan, isang bookshelf na puno ng libro, at isang maliit na kusina sa gilid. Pasensya ka na sa kalat, sabi niya, kahit wala naman akong makitang kalat. Dito ka na sa kama matulog. Ako na lang sa sahig. Naku, sir. Wag po, mabilis kong sabi. Ako na lang po sa sahig. Okay lang po talaga. Sanay naman po ako. Which was a lie. Pero mas nahihiya ako kung siya pa ang mag-a-adjust. He looked at me, then sighed. Okay, sige. Pero kukuha ako ng banig at unan. While he was rummaging through a small cabinet, I looked around. May mga picture frames sa bookshelf. Isang picture niya noong graduation, kasama ang isang babae at lalaki na kamukha niya, siguro mga magulang niya. May picture din siya na naka-hiking attire, nakangiti. Ang gwapo niya pala talaga, lalo na kapag hindi seryoso ang mukha. Eto, sabi niya, inabot sa akin ang isang manipis na banig, isang unan at isang kumot. Pasensya na, yan lang ang meron ako. Okay na po ito, sir. Maraming salamat po ulit. Inilatag ko ang banig sa sahig, malapit sa bintana. The rain had softened to a light drizzle. Magpalit ka na ng damit, Lara, sabi ni Sir Emil. Baka magkasakit ka pa. Tumalikod siya para bigyan ako ng privacy. Nag-aalangan man, nagpalit ako ng tuyong damit mula sa duffel bag ko. Isang lumang t-shirt at pajama pants. At least tuyo. Okay na po, sir, sabi ko. Humarap siya. He was already in his own sleepwear, plain shirt and shorts. For a moment, we just stood there, the silence stretching between us. Ang awkward ulit. You're a brave girl, Lara, he said softly, his eyes meeting mine. Malalagpasan mo rin to. His words, so simple, yet they felt like a lifeline. No one had ever called me brave before. Especially not now, when it felt like the weakest person on earth. And then, something unexpected happened. He took a step closer. Another step. He reached out, and for a terrifying second, I thought he was going to hug me. But he didn't. Instead, his hand gently cupped my cheek. His thumb brushed away a stray tear didn't even realize had fallen. His face was so close now. I could see the flecks of brown in his dark eyes. I could feel his warm breath on his skin. In my heart started pounding like crazy. Anong nangyayari? And then, he leaned in. Slowly. Deliberately. And his lips touched mine. It wasn't a long kiss. It wasn't even a deep kiss. It was just a light press of lips. Soft. Warm. Unexpected. It lasted for only a few seconds, but it felt like an eternity. When he pulled away, his eyes were wide, as if he was just as surprised as he was. Lara, I'm sorry, he whispered, his voice hoarse. He took a step back, then another, putting distance between us. Nakatitig lang ako sa kanya, hindi alam kung anong mararamdaman o sasabihin. Ang alam ko lang, ang puso ko parang sasabog. Gulat, takot, at isang kakaibang kilig na hindi ko maintindihan. Sir Emil, Illinois teacher, kissed me. Oh, my God. Yung halik, hindi ko makalimutan. Parang nakareplay sa utak ko, a scene-stealing moment na ayaw magpa-delete. The faculty room air, thick with the scent of old books and brewing coffee, suddenly felt charged with different kind of energy, one that made in my skin prickle and in my breath catch. Nananatili pa rin ang multo ng labi ni Sir Emil sa labi ko, phantom touch that was both terrifying and electrifying. Kinabukasan, pagkatapos ng gabing iyon sa apartment niya, kung saan natulog ako sa banig at siya sa sahig, parehong hindi mapakali at umiiwas sa tingin ng isa't isa, sinubukan kong i-act normal sa school. Pero paano ka mag-a-act normal kung ang teacher mo sa English, ang lalaking nagpatuloy sa'yo nung gabing wala kang mapuntahan, ay hinalikan ka? It was like walking on a tightrope, bawat galaw, calculated, bawat tingin, may double meaning. The first few days were a blur of forced smiles and averted gazes. Si Sir Emil, he tried to be professional. Tinatawag niya ako sa apelyido ko sa klase, Gindes de Leon, na parang walang nangyari. Pero minsan, nahuhuli ko siyang nakatingin, the quick, almost imperceptible glance, tapos iiwas din agad. In my heart would do a stupid little flip every single time. Ano ba to, Lara? Umayos ka nga. One morning, before class started, habang nag-aayos ako ng gamit sa luma kong armchair, may lumapit sa akin. Si Sir Emil. May dala siyang paper bag. Lara, he said, his voice low, almost whisper. Yung pagtawag niya sa pangalan ko, hindi na Ines de Leon, parang music sa tenga ko. Para sa'yo. Inabot niya ang paper bag ng silipin ko, isang cute na bento box. May kanin na may black sesame seeds sa ibabaw, a small piece of fried chicken, and some stir-fried vegetables. Parang yung mga nakikita ko sa Japanese dramas. Sir, nako, bakit po kayo nag-abala? I stammered, feeling the cheeks flush. Hindi ako sanay sa ganito. Sa buong buhay ko, ako ang laging nag-aalaga, nag-aasikaso. Ngayon, may isang taong inaalagaan ako. Wala iyon, he smiled, a genuine, warm smile that reached his eyes. Nakita ko kasing parang hindi ka masyadong kumakain these past few days. You need your strength. He then pulled out a couple of well-worn paperbacks from his own baggie and these. Baka makatulong sa'yo sa literature class natin. Or, just something to read. Mga classic novels. Pride and Prejudice and Little Women. Anyway, favorites. Paano niya nalaman? Salamat po, Sir Emil. Sobra, I managed to say, clutching the bento box and the books like they were precious treasures. Kasi para sa akin, they were. It wasn't just food, it wasn't just books. It was care. It was him seeing me. Walang anuman, Lara. He gave me one last look, a look that lingered a bit too long, before walking towards the faculty room. Naiwan akong nakatulala, puso ko nagwawala. Kilig. That was the word. A sweet, design kilig, mixed with a healthy dose of takot. This was wrong, wasn't it? He's my teacher. Pero ang sarap sa pakiramdam. Dahil sa situation ko, wala nang pamilya, wala nang regular na uwian, kahit pinapatuloy pa rin ako ni Sir Emil sa apartment niya, pansamantala lang, sabi niya, pero parang nagiging permanente na, DV grade started to suffer. Napapansin ko yon at lalo akong nadidepress. One afternoon, after class, Sir Emil asked me to stay. Lara, can I talk to you for a moment? Kinabahan ako. Oh no, is he going to kick me out of his apartment? Is he going to tell me to stop being pathetic? Pumasok kami sa faculty room. Empty. Usually, may ibang teachers pa, pero that day, kami lang. The late afternoon sun streamed through the dusty windows, casting long shadows. I noticed your grades in English have been slipping, he said gently, sitting on the edge of his desk. And in your other subjects too, based on what heard from M. Rax Santos. Napatungo ako. Sorry po, sir. Hirap lang po talaga akong mag-focus ngayon. I understand, Lara. You've been through a lot. He paused. Kaya naisip ko, maybe it can help you. Tutoring. After school. Dito lang sa faculty room. Or sa apartment, kung mas komportable ka. Yes, and I head snapped up. Talaga po, sir. The thought of spending more time with him, even if it was for studying, sent a jolt of excitement through me. Focus, Lara. Studies. Naman, he smiled. I want to see you succeed. Alam kong kaya mo. And so our tutoring sessions began. Most of the time, sa apartment niya kami. Mas private, mas tahimik. He was a good teacher, patient and clear. Pero habang tumatagal, the line between teacher and Emil started to blur. Minsan, habang nag-i-explain siya ng Shakespearean sonnet, mahuhuli ko siyang nakatitig sa akin, hindi sa libro. Minsan, yung kamay niya, aksidenteng imadadampian ang kamay ko habang inaabot ang ballpen. Those small moments, they were electric. Nagpapanggap kaming walang ibig sabihin, pero sa loob-loob namin, alam naming meron. One evening, we were reviewing for major exam, pagod na ako. My eyes were droopy and the brain felt like mush. Sir Emil was sitting beside me on the small sofa he had, pointing out key passages in textbook. Ang lapit niya. Naamoy ko na naman yung pabango niya, yung subtle, clean scent na parang tatak na niya. Are you okay, Lara? You seem tired, he asked, his voice soft. Medyo po, sir. Sumasakit na ulo ko. I leaned my head back against the sofa, closing the eyes for a moment. Naramdaman kong gumalaw siya. Pagdilat ko, his face was just inches from mine. He was looking at me with an intensity that made the breath hitch. Yung mga mata niya parang nangungusap. There was concern, yes, but there was something else too. Something deeper. Something longing. Maybe you should rest, he murmured, his gaze dropping to my lips. My heart hammered against the ribs. This is it, I thought. He's going to kiss me again. And a part of me, a very large, very reckless part of me, wanted him to. He leaned in, slower this time than that first night. I closed my eyes, bracing myself, anticipating. I could feel his warm breath, hear the slight quickening of his own breathing. Then, a loud thud from the unit upstairs. Sabay kaming napalayo sa isa't isa, parang napaso. The spell was broken. Sir Emil caught awkwardly, running key hand through his hair. Siguro nga, you should get some sleep. Maaga papasok bukas. Oo po, sir. I quickly gathered my things, my face burning. Ang tension sa kwarto, pwede mo nang hiwain ng kutsilyo. That near miss, that almost kiss, it changed something. It made the unspoken feelings between us even more palpable, more dangerous. Gabi-gabi, bago matulog sa banig sa sahig ng apartment niya, napapaisip ako. This secret life was living. Sa school, I was just Lara De Leon, the quiet, orphaned girl. But here, in the confines of his small apartment, I was something else. Someone who felt seen, someone who felt cherished. But the fear was always there, a constant companion. Paano kung malaman ng iba? Paano kung ma-issue si Sir Emil? He could lose his job. His reputation. At ako. Ano nang mangyayari sa akin? Lalo lang akong magiging kawawa. One night, I had this dream. It was vivid, unsettling. Nasa dati naming bahay daw ako, yung bago pa mamatay sila mama. My mother was in the kitchen, cooking sinigang, her favorite. Pero nung lumingon siya sa akin, her face was sad. Walang ngiti. Anak, she said, her voice echoing as if from a great distance. Mag-ingat ka. Hindi lahat ng kumikinang ay ginto. Then she turned back to her cooking, and the dream dissolved. Nagising akong pawis na pawis, puso ko kumakabog. Parang warning. A warning from Izay's own mother. My conscience pricked me. Ano ba itong pinasok ko? Love? Or just his desperate need for affection, For someone to fill the void the parents left. The next day at school, I tried to be more careful, more distant. I told myself I needed to create space between me and Sir Emil. For his sake, for my sake. Pero ang hirap. Every time I saw him, every time our eyes met, there was that undeniable pull. Isang hapon, kakatapos lang ng itutoring session namin sa faculty room. Usually, iniiwasan ko nang magtagal pa doon after ng actual lesson para walang makahalata. Pero that day, may tinapos lang kaming importanteng essay. Nagmamadali akong lumabas, bit-bit ang mga libro ko. Pagbukas ko ng pinto, muntik na akong makabangga. Oh, sorry, sabi ko, then I froze. It was Angela, the class president. Matangkad, matalino, at laging parang may hinahanap na mali sa lahat ng tao. She was holding a stack of papers. Nakatingin siya sa akin, tapos sa pinto ng faculty room nakalalabas ko lang, tapos balik ulit sa akin. Her perfectly plucked eyebrows rose a fraction. Lara, anong ginagawa mo dito sa faculty room? Tapos na ang klase, ah. Her voice was deceptively sweet, but her eyes were sharp, analytical. Nataranta ako. My mind went blank. Anong idadahilan ko? Kay kinausap lang ako ni Sir Emil. About sa project namin sa English. Palusot, Oh, really? Angela drawled, eyes small, knowing smirk playing on her lips. Si Sir Emil lang ba ang nandyan sa loob? She tried to peek over Enva's shoulder. Bakit? My heart was pounding. Please, just go away. Wala naman. May kailangan lang kasi akong isubmit sa kanya. She made a move to enter, but sort of, accidentally blocked her way a bit. Bibisi yata siya, Angela. May ginagawa pa. Baka mamaya na lang. I forced a smile, hoping it didn't look as guilty as it felt. Angela's eyes narrowed. She looked at me, really looked at me, from Enva's slightly flushed face to the way, was clutching the books too tightly. For a moment, I thought she was going to call me out, to accuse me of something right then and there. The silence stretched, filled only by the distant chatter of other students leaving the school. Then, she shrugged, a little too casually. Okay. CJ. Maybe later. She gave me one last, lingering look before turning and walking away down the corridor. Naiwan akong nakatayo doon, nangangatog ang tuhod. She knows. Or at least, she suspects something. Yung tingin niya, parang sinasabing, I'm watching you, Lara de Leon. The kilig I felt earlier was completely overshadowed by a tidal wave of takot. This secret, our secret, wasn't safe. It was hanging by a thread. And Angela, with her sharp eyes and even sharper intuition, might just be the one to snip it. Pumasok ako ulit ng faculty room, hingal na hingal. Sir Emil looked up from his papers, concerned. Lara, anong nangyari? You look pale. Si Angela po. Nakita niya akong lumabas dito. Nagtatanong siya. The color drained from Sir Emil's face. The reality of our situation, the danger we were both in, crashed down on us with full force. Our secret room, our lihim sa loob ng silid, was suddenly feeling very, very small, and the walls were closing in. The near miss with Angela was a wake-up call. Isang malamig na tubig na ibinuho sa natutulog naming relasyon. Bigla, yung kilig, napalitan ng matinding kaba. Yung mga palihim ng ngiti, napalitan ng mga ninenerbiyos na sulyap. Sir Emil and I became more careful, almost paranoid. We limited our tutoring sessions sa apartment, and even then, the air was thick with unspoken fear. Every knock on the door, every unexpected phone call, made us jump. Pero yung feelings, hindi mo naman pwedeng i-off, yun na parang switch ng ilaw. The more we tried to suppress them, the stronger they seemed to grow. There were stolen moments, a quick brush of hands when no one was looking, shared glance across crowded canteen that spoke volumes. It was a dangerous dance, game of hide and seek with our hearts, and with the prying eyes of the world. Then, one morning, everything changed. Nagsimula sa simpleng pagkahilo. Akala ko stress lang. Lack of sleep. Or maybe yung instant noodles na kinain ko kagabi. Pero nung sumunod na araw, nahilo ulit ako. At nasusuka. Cold dread started to creep into my heart. No, hindi pwede. I remember the calendar. SE period. It was late. A week late. Hindi. 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 That afternoon, instead of going straight to Sir Emil's apartment after school, dumaan ako sa isang maliit na botika malapit sa palengke. In my hands were shaking so badly, I almost dropped the wallet. Isang pregnancy test po, I mumbled to the pharmacist, avoiding her gaze. She probably thought it was just another irresponsible teenager. Maybe it was. Pagdating ko sa apartment, wala pa si Sir Emil. He had a faculty meeting. Good. I needed to do this alone. Pumasok ako sa banyo, yung maliit na banyo na naging witness sa maraming gabi ng pag-iyak ko, ng pag-asa ko, ng takot ko. My heart was pounding so hard, parang lalabas na sa dibdib ko. I read the instructions on the box with trembling fingers. Parang exam lang to, Lara. Isang exam na babago sa buong buhay mo. Did what had to do and then, I waited. The longest 3 minutes of SI life. Nakatitig lang ako sa maliit na plastic stick na iyon, as if the stare could change the outcome. Please, please, one line. Just one line. Slowly, agonizingly, a faint pink line appeared. And then, beside it, another one. 2 lines. 2 linya. Positive. The world stopped. Hindi ako makahinga. Napaupo ako sa sahig ng banyo, yung malamig na tears parang nagielo sa balat ko. Tears started streaming down into my face, hot and unstoppable. Hindi yung iyak na may hikbi. Tahimik lang. Desperate. Buntis ako. Buntis ako sa teacher ko. In my life, which was already a mess, just imploded. Narinig kong bumukas ang pinto ng apartment. Si Sir Emil. Lara. Nandyan ka na pala? Hindi ako sumagot. I couldn't. Pinunasan ko ang mga luha ko, trying to compose myself, pero walang epekto. Nanginginig pa rin ako. Lara. Kumatok siya sa pinto ng banyo. Okay ka lang ba dyan sa loob? His voice was laced with concern. I took deep breath. Then another. Binuksan ko ang pinto. When he saw my face, in my tear-stained, horrified face, his expression changed from concern to alarm. Anong nangyari? May masakit ba sa'yo? Lara, talk to me. I couldn't speak. I just held out the pregnancy test, my hand shaking violently. He looked at it, his eyes widened. For a moment, he didn't say anything. He just stared at the 2 pink lines, his face unreadable. Gulat. Takot. Galit. Hindi ko masabi. Para siyang naengkanto. Then, he looked at me. And in his eyes, I saw a reflection of his own fear. His own despair. Lara di. His voice was barely a whisper. Is this? Totoo ba to? I just nodded, fresh tears welling up. Sorry, sir. Sorry. Ano pa bang masasabi ko? He ran a hand through his hair, pacing the small living room like a caged animal. Oh, my God. Oh, my God, Lara. Paulit-ulit niyang sinasabi. He looked broken. Devastated. And part of me, a selfish part, felt pang of resentment. Ako lang ba ang may kasalanan dito? Anong gagawin natin? I finally choked out, Jim's voice trembling. He stopped pacing. He looked at me, his eyes filled with turmoil I'd never seen before. He looked so young, so lost. Not like the confident, articulate teacher knew. Right now, he was just Emil. Scared. Overwhelmed. Then, he did something unexpected. He walked towards me, closed the distance between us, and pulled me into a tight hug. It wasn't a romantic hug. It was a desperate hug. A hug that said, we're in this together, even if it's a mess. Tayong dalawa lang ito, Lara, he whispered into my hair, his voice thick with emotion. Tayong dalawa lang. We'll figure this out. Somehow. Those words, tayong dalawa lang ito, they were both comfort and curse. Comfort because wasn't alone. Curse because what future could we possibly have? The next few days were a blur of hushed, frantic conversations. What were our options? Adoption? That word alone felt like a knife twisting into my gut. Is they baby? Our baby. How could I give it away? Abortion. The thought made me sick to my stomach. It wasn't even an option for me, kahit gaano pa kahirap ang sitwasyon. We can't stay here, Lara, Sir Emil said one evening, his face grim. Kung malaman to ng school, ng community, I'll lose in my license. Youngest career. Everything. At ikaw they'll crucify you. Alam ko. The scandal would be massive. The judgment, unbearable. Saan tayo pupunta? I asked, voice small. May konti akong naipon, he said, looking at a worn-out passbook on his table. Hindi kalakihan, pero baka sapat na para makapagsimula tayo sa ibang lugar. Somewhere far from here. Somewhere where nobody knows us. Tatalikuran mo lahat, sir. Dahil sa akin. The guilt was crushing me. He looked at me, his eyes surprisingly clear, determined. Hindi lang dahil sa'yo, Lara. Dahil sa ating dalawa. Dahil sa magiging anak natin. He placed a hand gently on his still flat stomach. I made a mistake, Lara. A big one. But this baby is not a mistake. And I will take responsibility. Pag-ibig o katotohanan? Love or reality? Our love, if you could even call it that, this desperate, forbidden connection, had led us to this harsh reality. Reality where we had to choose between our old lives and a new, uncertain future. A few nights later, under the cloak of darkness, we packed our meager belongings. Isang maleta para sa kanya, yung duffel bag ko na luma, at isang maliit na kahon ng mga libro niya na ayaw niyang iwanan. Walang paalam. Walang see you soon. We were just disappearing. Pumunta kami sa bus terminal, yung pinakamalayo sa sentro ng bayan. The air was cold, and the terminal was almost deserted. I clutched my bag tightly, my heart a mix of fear, sadness, and a teeny, flickering flame of hope. As we boarded the bus, yung bus na papunta sa isang lugar na hindi ko pa naririnig, San Federico, sabi ni Sir Emil, a small, remote town in a distant province where he had a distant relative he hadn't seen in years. I looked back at the town I grew up in. The town that held all my memories, good and bad. The town that was now rejecting me. Sir Emil squeezed my hand. Okay ka lang? I nodded, trying to be brave. For him. For our baby. Okay lang. The bus ride was long and bumpy. I leaned my head against his shoulder, and for the first time in days, felt semblance of peace. We were running away, yes. But we were running away together. Days later, we arrived in San Federico. It was a small, sleepy town, nestled between mountains and the sea. Parang ibang mundo. The air was fresh, the people were simple. Sir Emil managed to find his distant Chocardo, an old fisherman who lived in a small nipa hut near the beach. He was surprised to see Emil, but he welcomed us with open arms, no questions asked. For now. One sunny afternoon, a week after we arrived, Sir Emil took me to a small, ancient-looking church on a hill overlooking the town. It was made of old stones, covered in moss. Inside, it was cool and quiet. Only a few flickering candles illuminated the dim interior. Lara, he said, taking both of my hands. His eyes were serious, earnest. I know this isn't how you imagined it, walang magarbong gown, walang maraming bisita, walang engranding handaan. Pero He knelt down on one knee. My breath hitched. Lara de Leon, he said, his voice lightly trembling. Will you marry me? He didn't have a ring. He didn't have anything, really. Except himself. And the baby growing inside me. Tears streamed down my face. This time, they weren't tears of sadness or fear. They were tears of something else. Something complicated. Maybe it was relief. Maybe it was a desperate kind of love. Yes, I whispered. Yes, Emil. I'll marry you. The wedding was as simple as it could be. Kami lang dalawa, si Tio Cardo, at yung matandang pari na medyo bingi na. A word simple white dress na nabili namin sa ukay-ukay. Emil wore a borrowed barong Tagalog from Tio Cardo na medyo maluwag sa kanya. As we exchanged our vows, vows of love, of commitment, of facing an unknown future together, looked at Emil. Yan my teacher. As a rescuer. And my lover. And now, you my husband. Tayong dalawa lang ito, he had said. And in that small, quiet church, with the sound of the waves crashing in the distance, I held on to those words like a lifeline. It was us against the world. Pero habang nakatayo kami doon, magkahawak kamay, yun naging question echoed in the deepest corners of a heart. Is this truly love? Or is this just the consequence of a forbidden truth we were now forced to live? The answer, I feared, was something I wasn't ready to face. N.T.N.M. Res Reyes. Ang sarap pakinggan. Parang musika. Kahit na ang D. Reyes ay apelyido ni Emil na ginamit namin para magtago, at ang T. Reyes ay simbolo ng isang kasal na minadali at tinago sa lahat, may kakaibang saya pa rin. We were starting over, a blank slate, in this sleepy town of San Federico. Ang nipahat ni Tio Cardo naging pansamantalang tahanan namin. Maliit, simple, pero at least, amin. At least, for now. Life in San Federico was a stark contrast to our life back in the city. Walang malls, walang traffic, walang chismis, o kung meron man, hindi tungkol sa amin. The days were slow, measured beside the terraquil of the waves and the crowing of roosters. Emil, bless his hard-working soul, immediately looked for ways to earn a living. Hindi siya pwedeng magturo sa public school dito. His credentials, his real identity, would be exposed. So, he started offering tutorial services to the local kids. English, math, science, kung ano ang kaya niya. Konti lang ang bayad, sapat lang para sa pang-araw-araw na gastos, but he never complained. Nakikita ko ang pagod sa mga mata niya pag-uwi, pero ingitian niya lang ako, hahalikan sa noo, at magtatanong, kamusta ang mag-ina ko. Ako naman, he discovered a hidden talent, baking. Nung una, out of boredom lang. May maliit na pugon si Tio Cardo na hindi na ginagamit. Sinubukan kong gumawa ng pandesal, using a recipe vaguely remembered from in the home economics class. Surprisingly, it turned out okay. Masarap, sabi ni Emil at ni Tio Cardo. So, I started baking more. Pandesal, ensaymada, pandikoko. I'd sell them sa maliit na pwesto sa palengke tuwing umaga. Hindi kalakihan ang kita, pero nakakadagdag din and more importantly, it gave me a sense of purpose. Hindi na lang ako yung buntis na tumakas. Ako si Lara, ang panadera. Habang lumalaki ang tiyan ko, lumalalim din ang pagsasama namin ni Emil. The initial awkwardness of our forced marriage slowly gave way to a comfortable intimacy. We were learning to be a couple, a family. Gabi-gabi, bago kami matulog sa aming shared banig, hindi pa kami maka-afford ng kama, he would read to me. Hindi na Shakespeare or classic novels. Mga children's books na nabili niya sa ukay-ukay. Para masanay na si baby sa boses ko, he'd say, his hand gently resting on his tummy, feeling the baby's kicks. Minsan, yung mga kwento, parang para sa amin din stories of hope, of new beginnings, of love conquering all odds. Sana nga, I'd whisper to myself. There were quiet moments filled with simple joys. Walking along the beach at sunset, holding hands. Sharing a bowl of Tio Cardo's freshly caught fish sinigang. Laughing at silly jokes. These were the moments, cherished, the moments that made me believe that maybe, just maybe, we could make this work. Na yung pag-ibig na nagsimula sa isang bawal na halik, pwedeng maging totoo at pangmatagalan. Then, the day came. After hours of labor, with Emil anxiously holding my hand, whispering words of encouragement, our daughter was born. A teeny, perfect, beautiful baby girl. We named her Isabel Grace. Our little miracle, Emil called her, his eyes shining with unshed tears as he held her for the first time. Holding Elle in my arms, all the fear, all the uncertainty, seemed to melt away. Napalitan ng isang pagmamahal na sobrang tindi, sobrang dalisay. She was the piece of me, the piece of Emil. She was our hope, our panibagong simula. Life with baby Elle was chaotic, exhausting, but incredibly rewarding. Sleepless nights, endless diaper changes, a crash course in parenthood. Emil was unnatural. He'd wake up in the middle of the night to soothe Elle when she cried. He learned how to burp her like pro. He'd sing her off-key lullabies that somehow always made her smile. Nakakakilig panoorin. Para siyang superhero sa paningin ko. In my small baking venture started to pick up. Naging suki ko na yung mga tagabayan. They loved Vivay Special Ensaymada and Lara's Pandesal. Emil helped me deliver orders using Tio Cardo's old, rickety bicycle. We were a team. M Reyes, the tutors and the bakers. Simple lang ang buhay pero masaya. May mga araw na kapos kami sa pera, pero hindi kami nagugutom sa pagmamahal. Elle's first birthday was a milestone. We didn't have much, but we managed to throw a small celebration. Nagluto ako ng spaghetti at pansit. Emil bought a small cake from the town's only bake shop. Ironic, I know, pero gusto niyang isurprise ako. Tio Cardo invited some of his fisherman friends. We sang a happy birthday to a giggling Elle, who was more interested in smashing her cake than eating it. That night, after Elle was asleep, Emil and I sat on the small porch of our nipa hut, looking at the stars. The sound of the waves was a soothing balm. 1 year, Lara, Emil said, his arm around my shoulder. 1 year since Elle came into our lives. And 1 year since we started this new life. Ang bilis, no? I leaned my head against him. Parang kailan lang takot na takot tayo. Hanggang ngayon, may takot pa rin, he admitted, his voice low. Takot na baka isang araw, mahabol tayo ng nakaraan. Takot na baka hindi ko kayo mabigyan ng magandang buhay. I turned to him, cupping his face. Emil, you are giving us a good life. Masaya kami. Masaya ako. Si Elle, she's the happiest baby, no. And it's all because of you. He smiled, tired but contented smile. Mahal kita, Lara. Mahal din kita, Emil. And I meant it with every fiber of his being. The love that was once a question mark had blossomed into something real, something strong. Something worth fighting for. Life continued. Elle started to walk, her wobbly steps filling our small hut with laughter. She started to talk, her first word a mangled version of Papa. Emil was ecstatic. He'd spend hours playing with her, teaching her new words, his face alight with a father's pride. But then, I started to notice something. Emil's cough. Nung una, akala ko, simpleng ubo lang. Maybe from the dust, or the changing weather. Pero yung ubo, naging persistent. Malalim. Minsan, napapansin kong parang nahihirapan siyang huminga, lalo na pagkatapos niyang magbike, para mag-deliver ng tinapay o pagkatapos makipaghabulan kay Elle. Emil, magpatingin ka na kaya sa doktor? I'd tell him, the voice laced with worry. San Federico had a small rural health unit, but the doctor was only there twice a week. Wala to, mahal, he'd always say, waving off every concern. Pagod lang siguro. O baka allergy lang. He'd tear aside to hide it, but I could see the strain in his eyes. He was losing weight too, and his usual energy seemed to be waning. One afternoon, I was in our small, improvised kitchen, kneading dough for the next day's orders. Elle was happily playing with her wooden blocks on the floor. Emil was sitting on a low stool beside the window, watching her. He was supposed to be resting, pero ayaw niyang malayo sa amin. Suddenly, he started coughing. Violently. It wasn't his usual cough. This one was harsh, racking his body. I rushed to his side, patting his back. Emil! Okay ka lang? He couldn't speak. He just kept coughing. And then, I saw a fleck of red on the handkerchief he was pressing to his mouth. Dugo. In my blood ran cold. Emil! He quickly hid the handkerchief, trying to compose himself. O wala to, Lara. Nasugatan lang siguro yung lalamunan ko sa kakaubo. He tried to smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. His face was pale, beads of sweat forming on his forehead. Hindi, Emil, I said, with voice trembling. Kailangan mo nang magpatingin. Bukas na bukas. Promise me. He looked at me, then at Elle, who had stopped playing and was now looking at us with wide, curious eyes. He sighed, heavy, defeated sound. CJ. Bukas. Magpapatingin ako. That night, I couldn't sleep. Pinagmamasdan ko si Emil habang natutulog siya, si Elle snuggled between us. His breathing was shallow, and occasionally, soft wheezing sound would escape his lips. Ang puso ko parang pinipiga. This new beginning, this fragile happiness we had built, it felt like it was standing on shaky ground. And the cough, that persistent, ominous cough, felt like the first tremor of an earthquake that could bring everything crashing down. Ang pag-asa na binuo namin, unti-unti nang nilalamon ng panibagong takot. Lung cancer. Stage 4. Malala na. Yung mga salita ng doktor sa maliit na klinik sa kabilang bayan, parang mga bomba na sumabog sa pandinig ko. Paulit-ulit. Lung cancer. Stage 4. Malala na. Hindi. Hindi si Emil. Hindi ang Emil ko. We had to travel 2 towns over just to get proper diagnosis. Yung rural health unit sa San Federico, walang x-ray, walang matinong facilities. Emil tried to be brave during the check-up, even joking with the nurse. Pero nung lumabas yung resulta, nung sinabi ng doktor yung verdict, nakita ko siyang napapikit. Nakita ko yung bahagyang panginginig ng mga kamay niya. May magagawa pa po ba, Doc? I asked, with a voice hoarse, desperate. Clinging to a sliver of hope that wasn't even there. The doctor, an old man with kind but wary eyes, looked at us with pity. I'm sorry, Divres Reyes. Sa stage na to, palliative care na lang ang maibibigay natin. To manage the pain. To make him comfortable. Comfortable. How could he be comfortable knowing he was dying? How could I be comfortable? The ride back to San Federico was a blur of unshed tears and suffocating silence. Emil held my hand, his grip surprisingly strong, as if he was the one comforting me. Pero ramdam ko ang panginginig. Hindi ko siya tinitingnan. Ayokong makita ang sakit sa mga mata niya. Ayokong makita ang sarili kong takot na nakareflect doon. Lara, he finally said, his voice raspy, when we were nearing our nipahat. Huwag muna nating sabihin kay Elle. Ayokong makita siyang umiiyak. Tumango lang ako. How do you explain death to a 2-year-old? How do you tell her that her papa, her hero, was going to leave her soon? The days that followed were the hardest of Esva's life. Emil insisted on acting normal. Nagtuturo pa rin siya sa ilang estudyante niya, kahit nakitang-kita ko nang nahihirapan siya. He still played with Elle, kahit na madalas na siyang mapaupo dahil sa hingal. He still helped me with the bakery, kahit na ang kaya na lang niyang gawin ay maglista ng orders. He was trying to protect us. Trying to shield us from the inevitable. Pero gabi-gabi, naririnig ko siyang umuubo sa kabilang banig, pinilit niya akong bumili ng hiwalay na banig para sa kanya, baka mahawa pa kayo ni Elle, sabi niya, kahit alam naming hindi nakakahawa ang cancer. Naririnig ko ang mga pigil niyang daing. At ako, sa sarili kong banig, umiiyak ng walang tunog, kinakagat ang unan para walang makarinig. He started hiding things from me. The true extent of his pain. The frequency of his coughing fits. Minsan, mahuhuli ko siyang may dugo na naman sa panyo, pero itatago niya agad. Wala to, mahal. Okay lang ako. Liar. Sweet, brave, stupid liar. One afternoon, I was at our small stall in the Palenque, selling the last batch of pandesal. Business was good, pero yung isip ko, wala doon. Nasa bahay kay Emil kay El. Biglang may tumatakbong bata papunta sa akin. Si Pepito, isa sa mga kapitbahay naming mangingisda. Ate Lara. Ate Lara. Si Kuya Emil po. Nahimatay. Binitiwan ko lahat. Tumakbo ako. Takbo lang ng takbo, parang hinahabol ng demonyo. Ang puso ko, kumakabog na parang gustong kumawala sa dibdib ko. Please, God, no not yet. Pagdating ko sa bahay, nakita ko si Emil, nakahandusay sa isasahig ng aming maliit na bakery, yung sulok kung saan ako nagmamasa ng tinapay. Elle was beside him, crying, pulling at his shirt. Papa! Papa, wake up! Teocardo was trying to revive him. Emil! I screamed, dropping to the knees beside him. His face was pale, almost gray. His lips were blue. He wasn't breathing. Tumawag kayo ng tulong, sigaw ko sa mga usyosong kapitbahay na nagkukumpulan na sa labas. Dalhin natin siya sa ospital. Kahit alam kong huli na. Kahit alam kong wala ng ospital na makakapagligtas sa kanya. The next few hours were a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. The frantic rush to the clinic in the next town, the doctor's solemn shake of his head, the cold, sterile environment of the small emergency room. It all felt unreal. I'm very sorry, Divres Reyes. We did everything we could. Everything they could. But it wasn't enough. Nothing was enough. Nakatitig lang ako sa mukha ni Emil. Payapa na siya. Wala nang sakit. Wala nang hirap. Pero yung kapayapaan niya, yun ang sumisira sa akin. He looked like he was just sleeping. Parang gigising din siya maya-maya, ngingitian ako at sasabihing, okay lang ako, mahal. Pero hindi na siya gumising. Niyakap ko siya. Mahigpit. Ang lamig na ng balat niya. Emil! Emil, gumising ka na, please. Huwag mo kaming iwan ni Elle. Hindi ko kaya, hindi namin kaya. Umiyak ako ng umiyak, humahagulgol, parang bata. Wala akong pakialam kung sino ang makarinig. Ang sakit. Ang sakit-sakit. Parang pinupunit ang puso ko. Ang lalaking minahal ko, ang nag-iisang taong nagmahal sa akin ng buo, wala na. The funeral was simple, just like our wedding. Teocardo helped with the arrangements. Some of our neighbors from San Federico came, the ones whose children Emil tutored, the ones who bought dinner bread. They offered their condolences, their pitying looks. Hindi ko sila matingnan. Si Elle, she was too young to understand. She kept asking, where's Papa? Papa sleeping? I just hugged her, tears streaming down his face, unable to answer. Paano mo ipapaliwanag ang kamatayan sa isang anghel na katulad niya? After the burial, when everyone had left, Teocardo handed me a small, worn wooden box. Bigay daw ni Emil sa'yo, Lara. Bago siya mawala. My hands trembled as opened it inside. There was a letter, his familiar handwriting on a slightly yellowed piece of paper. And a simple silver necklace with a teeny, intricately carved sun pendant. The kind of sun you see rising over the ocean in San Federico. I unfolded the letter. Mahal kong Lara. Kung binabasa mo to, ibig sabihin wala na ako. Ibig sabihin natalo ako sa laban. Sorry, mahal. Sinubukan ko. Para sa'yo, para kay Elle. Pero siguro hanggang dito na lang talaga ako. Huwag kang iiyak ng matagal, ha? Alam kong mahirap pero kailangan mong magpakatatag. Para kay Elle. She needs you. More than ever. Lara, thank you. Thank you for coming into in my life. You were an unexpected blessing. Ikaw yung nagbigay ng kulay sa mundo kong dati puro abo. Ikaw yung nagturo sa akin kung paano magmahal ng totoo, kahit na nagsimula tayo sa mali. Huwag mong sisihin ang sarili mo sa nangyari sa akin. Walang may kasalanan. Siguro, ito talaga ang tadhana ko. Ang mahalaga, nagkaroon ako ng pagkakataong makasama ka, mahalin ka, at magkaroon tayo ng isang napakagandang anghel na si Elle. Alagaan mo si Elle. Ikwento mo sa kanya ang tungkol sa akin. Sabihin mo sa kanya kung gaano ko siya kamahal. At ikaw, Lara, huwag mong kalimutang mahalin din ang sarili mo. You deserve to be happy. Find your happiness, even if it's without me. Itong kwintas para sa'yo yan. Para maalala mo, kahit sa pinakamadilim na gabi, laging may sisikat na araw. Laging may pag-asa. Ikaw ang araw ko, Lara. Ikaw ang liwanag ko. Mahal na mahal kita hanggang sa huli. Hanggang sa muli nating pagkikita. Nagmamahal. Emil D. The tears flowed freely as read his words. Each sentence was a stab to deny already broken heart. The pain was unbearable, a gaping wound that knew would never fully heal. Niyakap ko ang sulat at ang kwinta sa dibdib ko. Ang natitira na lang sa kanya. That night, Elle couldn't sleep. She kept looking for her papa. Papa? Papa, she'd call out, her small voice filled with confusion. I held her close, humming one of Emil's off-key lullabies. Papas. Papa's in heaven now, baby, I whispered, jiggly voice choked with tears. He's watching over us. He loves you very, very much. Elle, in her innocent wisdom, just snuggled closer. Papa Star, she asked, pointing to the night sky outside our small window. Yes, baby, I sobbed. Papa is the brightest star. The light of Ezra's life was gone. Emil was gone. At ako, naiwang mag-isa sa dilim, kasama ang isang maliit na anghel na kailangan kong alagaan, kailangan kong palakihin. Paano? Paano ako magsisimula ulit kung ang kalahati ng puso ko, kasama na niyang umalis? The pain was a constant etch, a shadow that followed me everywhere. The future, once filled with tentative hope, now loomed dark and terrifying. Parang kahapon lang, hawak ko pa ang kamay ni Emil, naririnig ang tawa niya, nararamdaman ang yakap niya. Parang kahapon lang, buo pa kami. Pero 8 taon na pala ang lumipas. 8 years. Ang bilis, pero ang bagal din. Each day was a struggle, especially in the beginning. Gabi-gabi, umiiyak ako hanggang sa makatulog, yakap-yakap ang lumang t-shirt ni Emil na naamoy ko pa rin ang alaala niya. Si Elle, she was the only reason to get up in the morning. Ang munting liwanag sa gitna ng kadiliman. Pero sabi nga ni Emil sa sulat niya, kailangan mong magpakatatag. At yun ang ginawa ko. For Elle. For myself. Hindi pwedeng habang buhay akong magmukmok at umiyak. Life had to go on. Yung maliit na panaderya na sinimulan namin ni Emil sa San Federico, pinalago ko. From a small stall in the Palenque, I managed to rent a small space, then a bigger one. Laras Pan de Vida diyan ang ipinangalan ko. Bread of life. Kasi iyon ang naging buhay ko, ang naging paraan ko para mabuhay, para buhayin si Elle. Poured all by grief, all my love, all my determination into every loaf of bread, every pastry made. Word spread about the bakery. Hindi lang sa San Federico, kundi pati sa mga kalapit bayan. People loved the quality, the taste, the story behind it, kahit na ang alam lang nila, biyuda akong nagsusumikap para sa anak ko. Nagkaroon ako ng mga suki, mga loyal customers. Eventually, with the help of a small loan from a local cooperative, na pinag-ipunan ko ng husto ang pang-down payment, I opened the first branch in the city proper, the one we ran away from. It was a scary decision, parang pagharap sa multo ng nakaraan. But I had to. For growth. For Elle's future. And it boomed. Laras Pan de Vida became a household name. Nagkaroon ng 1, 2, hanggang sa naging 10 branches sa iba't ibang lugar. I started offering franchise opportunities. From a grieving widow in a small nipa hut, I became businesswoman. Alice here. Nakakatawa, di ba? Kung nakikita lang ako ni Emil ngayon. I learned to navigate the world of business, marketing, finance, operations. I attended seminars, workshops. Nagbasa ng mga libro. I had to be tough, I had to be smart. Walang email na gagabay sa akin. Ako lang. You're an inspiration, Lara, people would tell me. A symbol of a single mother who overcame adversity. Ngumingiti lang ako. Kung alam lang nila yung buong kwento. Kung alam lang nila yung mga gabing umiiyak pa rin ako, hinahanap-hanap ang yakap ni Emil. Kung alam lang nila yung takot na baka isang araw, bumalik yung nakaraan para singilin ako. Elle was now 10 years old. Isang maganda, matalino at bibang bata. She was the spitting image of Emil, his eyes, his smile, even his slightly off-key singing voice. She was Eve pride, Gisby joy, Gisby everything. We lived in a comfortable house now, a far tearsai from the Nipa hut in San Federico. She went to a good school. I tried to give her everything Emil would have wanted for her. One evening, while we were having dinner, Elle, with her usual childlike curiosity, asked, Mama, what was Papa like? Natigilan ako. I always told her stories about Emil, how kind he was, how smart, how much he loved her. But never went into detail about us. About how we met, about our past. He was the best man I ever knew, anak, I said, giving voice a bit shaky. He was brave and funny and he loved you more than anything in this world. Did he like bread, Mama? Like your bread? Umiti ako. Anak. Paborito niya yung special ensaymada ko. I remembered him sneaking pieces while I wasn't looking, his eyes twinkling. Ang sakit. Ang sarap. I wish I met him, Elle said softly, a wistful look in her eyes. Niyakap ko siya. He's always with us, anak. In our hearts. And every time you smile, I see him. A few days later, my assistant, Jean, handed me thick, formal-looking envelope. Lara, this just arrived gift courier. It's from Gillis Network. Gillis Network. Isa sa pinakamalaking TV station sa bansa. Anong kailangan nila sa akin? I opened it. It was an invitation. An invitation to be a guest on Tinig ng Pag-asa, the popular talk show hosted by Celia Velasco, one of the country's most respected broadcast journalists. The show featured inspiring stories of Filipinos who had overcome great challenges. In my heart skipped a beat. A talk show. Me. But as I read further, a cold dread washed over me. The letter mentioned that they were particularly interested in Isai's journey as a young widow who built successful business empire from scratch. Standard stuff. But then, there was a specific request, and we would be honored if you could share with our audience the inspiring love story that started it all, even the parts that might have been unconventional. We believe your complete honesty will resonate deeply with many. Unconventional. Honesty. My hand started to tremble. Anong sabi, Lara? Jean asked, noticing Jill's pale face. They want me to tell them a story, I stammered. The whole story. Wow. That's great, Lara. National D. This will be amazing publicity for Pandivida. Jean was ecstatic. Pero ako parang binuhusan ng malamig na tubig. The whole story. Kasama ba doon yung key forbidden love with envy teacher? Kasama ba doon yung pagbubuntis ko at a young age? Kasama ba doon yung pagtakas namin? For years, I had carefully constructed this image, Lara de Leon Reyes, the resilient widow, the successful entrepreneur. I buried the past deep, deep down, hoping it would never resurface. I changed my legal name, I moved far away, I built new life. Lahat para protektahan si Elle. Para protektahan ang alaala ni Emil. Pero ngayon an invitation to lay it all bare. Sa buong Pilipinas. The thought terrified me. Ang hiya. Ang takot. What would people say? How would they judge me? The scandal, the whispers, the condemnation, I could almost hear them. Paano kung maapektuhan si Elle? Her school, her friends. And Lara? Are you okay? Jean's voice pulled me back to the present. I need to think about this, I said, Judith's voice barely a whisper. That night, hindi ako makatulog. I kept reading the letter. Unconventional. Complete honesty. Tinignan ko ang picture ni Emil sa bedside table ko, yung kuha namin sa San Federico, few months before he got really sick. We looked so happy, so hopeful. Emil, I whispered to his picture. Anong gagawin ko? Of course, he didn't answer. I thought about Elle. She deserved to know the truth. The whole truth. Hindi yung edited version na kinukwento ko sa kanya. But was this the way? On national television. The fear was a tight knot in my stomach. Fear of judgment. Fear of shame. Fear of dredging up old wounds. Pero may isang parte sa akin, isang maliit na tinig na nagsasabing, maybe it's time, Lara. Maybe it's time to stop hiding. Emil always told me was a brave girl. Pero ngayon, pakiramdam ko, ako ang pinakaduwag na tao sa mundo. This talk show, it wasn't just an invitation. It was a confrontation. It's confrontation with Eve's past. It's past that had tried so hard to escape, but now, it was knocking on my door, demanding to be heard. The weight of the decision pressed down on me. To tell or not to tell. To finally face the music, or to continue living in the safe, comfortable shadows I had built. The choice was mine. And it was the hardest choice I'd had to make since Emil left. Ang babaeng bumangon mula sa abo, handa na ba siyang harapin ang apoy? The CE studio was cold. O baka ako lang ang nilalamig. The bright lights blended me for a moment as I sat across Celia Velasco. She had a warm, reassuring smile, pero iyong kaba sa dibdib ko, parang drum and bugle corps na nagpa-practice. This was it, no turning back. Millions of people were watching. Waiting. Welcome back to Tinig ng Pag-asa, Dinith Velasco's smooth voice filled the studio. And with us tonight is a truly inspiring woman, the founder and CEO of the highly successful Lara Span de Vida, Lara de Leon Reyes. Mumiti ako, trying to look calm and composed, pero sa loob-loob ko, gusto ko nang tumakbo. Jean and Elle were in the audience, giving me thumbs-up signs. Si Elle, she looked so proud. That gave me a sliver of courage. The interview started with Esve's business journey. How I started from a small stall, the challenges, the successes. Standard questions. I answered them confidently, years of practice from business forums kicking in. Then, Det Velasco leaned forward, her expression softening. Lara, your story of resilience is truly remarkable. But we hear there's an even more profound story behind your success. A love story. One that, perhaps, was not always easy. Would you be willing to share that with us? The story of you and your late husband, Emil. My breath hitched. Ito na. The moment of truth. I glanced at Elle. She was looking at me, her eyes wide with anticipation. I took deep, shaky breath. Opo, yes Celia, I began, Jim's voice a little unsteady at first. It's a story I haven't shared publicly before. Kasi natatakot ako. Natatakot ako sa sasabihin ng iba. And Velasco nodded encouragingly. Take your time, Lara. And so, I started. From the very beginning. The death of his parents. Being homeless. The rainy night. And then. Sir Emil. He was my teacher, I said, the words tasting foreign on my tongue after all these years of silence. Narinig ko ang bahagyang bulungan sa audience. I could feel their judgment already. He was young, kind, and he saved me. Not just from the rain, but from despair. I talked about our secret relationship. The stolen moments. The kilig, the takot, the tension. Hindi ko tinago ang mga detalye, kahit yung mga parte na masakit, na nakakahiya. I remember the feeling of his lips on mine that first night, the warmth of his hand holding mine during our tutoring sessions. Flashbacks played into my mind, vivid and poignant, Emil giving me the bento box, his worried face when Angela almost caught us, the 2 pink lines on the pregnancy test. And then I got pregnant, I confessed, with voice cracking. This was the hardest part, the shame I had carried for so long. It felt heavy, suffocating. We were so scared. He could have lost everything. I could have lost well, I had already lost so much. I told them about our decision to run away. The bus ride to San Federico. Our simple wedding in the small, old church. Tumingin ako kay Elle, she was listening intently, her brow furrowed, but there was no judgment in her eyes. Only understanding. We started new life there, I continued, faint smile touching my lips as I remembered those early days. Emil worked as a tutor. I started baking. We didn't have much, but we had each other. And then, Elle came. Livy's voice softened when mentioned her name. She was our miracle. Our panibagong simula. The studio was quiet. Everyone was listening. Even Ed Velasco seemed captivated. Then, a talk about Emil's illness. The cough. The diagnosis. The pain. The hopelessness. Tears welled up in Ivy's eyes, but blinked them back. Be brave, Lara. For Emil. He fought hard, I said, with voice thick with emotion. For us. But lung cancer, it was too aggressive. I recounted his last days, the letter he left me, the sun pendant. Ivy's voice broke several times. This time, I let the tears fall. Hindi ko na napigilan. He was the love of Ezra's life. The only man who truly saw me, who truly loved me, flaws and all. The camera zoomed in on Ivy's face. I knew it probably looked a mess. But didn't care. This was Ivy's truth. Our truth. Lara, Lint Velasco said gently, her own eyes a bit misty. Thank you for your courage. For your honesty. Your story, it's a testament that love can be found in the most unexpected places, under the most difficult circumstances. And that it can give us the strength to overcome anything. Love is never perfect, dear Celia, I said, finding a strength didn't know I possessed. Our story wasn't perfect. Maraming mali. Maraming pagkakamali. But our love, it was true. And it gave me Elle. It gave me the strength to become who I am today. The show ended with a standing ovation from the audience. Pagbaba ko ng stage, sinalubong ako ni Ellen ng mahigpit na yakap. Mama, you were so brave, she whispered, her voice muffled against Envy's shoulder. And Papa. Papa sounded amazing. Niyakap ko siya pabalik, tears of relief and gratitude streaming down Nive's face. He was, anak. He really was. The days that followed were overwhelming. The talk show episode went viral. Envy's story was everywhere, on social media, in newspapers, on other G's programs. As expected, there were negative comments. Judgmental people calling me names, questioning Envy's morality, condemning Emil. Teacher-student affair, grooming, irresponsible. It stung. But surprisingly, there were more messages of support, of understanding, of admiration. Women who shared their own stories of difficult love, of single motherhood, of overcoming loss. Lara's pan de vida sales skyrocketed. People weren't just buying bread, they were buying a piece of Envy's story, a piece of hope. One evening, a few weeks after the talk show, Elle and I were in her room. She was rummaging through an old box of her dad's things that had kept, some of his books, his old eyeglasses, a few faded photographs. Then, she pulled out an old cassette tape. Mama, what's this? In my heart skipped a beat. It was tape Emil had made for me, back in San Federico, when Elle was just a baby. It was full of him singing her lullabies, telling her stories, and messages for me. I hadn't listened to it in years. It was too painful. That's e-tape from Papa, I said softly. Can we play it? Elle asked, her eyes shining. Nag-aalangan ako. But then I saw the eager look on her face. She deserved to hear her father's voice. We found an old cassette player in the bodega. With trembling hands, I inserted the tape and pressed play. Emil's voice filled the room. Clear. Warm. Loving. He was singing Twinkle, Twinkle Little Star, slightly off-key, just like Remembered. Elle giggled. Then, there were his stories, told with so much enthusiasm. And then, his voice changed. It was softer, more intimate. Lara. Mahal, if you're listening to this, I just want to say. I love you. More than words can say. You and Elle, you are dimly everything. Dios pan de vida. A pause. And Elle, you my little star, Papa loves you so, so much. Always remember that, okay? I'm always with you. Tears streamed down Elle's face as she listened. She crawled into my lap, and we just held each other, listening to Emil's voice, the voice from the past, reaching out to us in the present. I love you, baby, Emil's voice on the tape whispered, as if he was right there with us. I love you, Lara. The tape ended. Elle looked up at me, her eyes red but shining. He really loved us, Mama. He did, anak. More than anything. I took out the sun pendant necklace from Inoy's own jewelry box, the one Emil had left for me. It had been a constant source of strength. I unclasped it. This was from Papa, I told Elle, the voice thick with emotion. He said, para maalala ko, kahit sa pinakamadilim na gabi, laging may sisikat na araw. Laging may pag-asa. I carefully placed the necklace around Elle's neck. The small silver sun glinted in the lamplight, resting perfectly against her skin. It looked like it belonged there. Now, it's yours, anak, I said, kissing her forehead. Para lagi mong maalala, your papa is your sunshine. And you are mine. Elle touched the pendant, a small, beautiful smile on her face. Thank you, Mama. She hugged me tight. I love you. I love you too, you my little star. The secret was out. The past had been faced. And in a strange way, it felt liberating. The shame was still there, faint echo, but it no longer defined me. In my love story with Emil, it wasn't a scandalous headline. It was just our story. Imperfect, unconventional, but true. And as I looked at Elle, her father's necklace around her neck, his voice still echoing in our hearts, I knew. Emil's light hadn't truly vanished. It lived on in her. In me. In the love that bound us together, a love that was, indeed, a lihim na walang dapat ikahiya. A secret that was finally free. Our panibagong simula, it turned out, was not an ending, but beautiful, continuing story. Salamat din sa iyo. It was a journey to write Lara and Emil's story. Naramdaman ko ang bawat emosyon. Kung mayroon pa tayong pwedeng idagdag bilang isang huling pagmumuni-muni o isang tahimik na eksena, siguro ganito. Nakangiti si Lara habang pinagmamasdan si Elle na mahimbing nang natutulog, ang kwintas na araw sa dibdib nito, kumikinang ng bahagya sa ilaw mula sa bintana. Wala na yung bigat, yung takot na laging bumubulong sa kanya tuwing gabi. Napalitan na ng isang tahimik na saya, ng pagtanggap na iyong mga sugat, kahit may peklat, ay naghilom na. Ang pag-ibig nila ni Emil, hindi man naging perpekto ayon sa pamantayan ng mundo, ay naging totoo sa kanila. At yun ang pinakamahalaga. Dahan-dahan, hinaplos niya ang buhok ni Elle. Napatingala siya sa kalangitan sa labas ng bintana, doon sa pinakamaliwanag na bituin na para bang si Emil mismo ang kumikindat. Okay na kami, mahal, bulong niya sa hangin, isang ngiti ang sumilay sa kanyang mga labi. Okay na kami. Malaya na. At sa kauna-unahang pagkakataon sa loob ng napakahabang panahon, naramdaman niyang hindi lang siya basta bumangon. Naramdaman niyang tunay na siyang nakalaya, handang harapin ang anumang umaga, dala-dala ang liwanag ng kahapon at ang walang hanggang pag-asa ng bukas. Ang kanilang lihim, ngayon ay isang kwentong nagbibigay inspirasyon, isang alaala ng pag-ibig na walang dapat ikahiya, kailanman. Kasabay ng paghupa ng dilim sa labas, tila humupa na rin ang anumang natitirang anino sa puso ni Lara. Ang paglaya ay hindi lang pala kawalan ng takot, ito pala yung pakiramdam na buo ka ulit, na kahit may mga pirasong nawala, yung mga natira ay sapat na para bumuo ng panibagong kahulugan. Ang kwintas sa liig ni Elle, ang mga alaala ni Emil, ang tagumpay ng Tipan de Vida, lahat yun ay hindi lang mga tropeo ng kanyang pagbangon, kundi mga sinag ng isang pag-ibig na hindi kailanman namatay, bagkus ay nagbagong anyo lang. Naging lakas, naging gabay. Hinagkan niya muli si Elle sa noo, isang pangako ng pag-ibig at proteksyon na hindi na kailanman mabubuwag ng anumang lihim o takot. Bumaling siya sa bintana, tanaw ang mga unang banaag ng umaga. Isang panibagong araw. Isang panibagong pagkakataon. Handa na ako, Emil, naisip niya, isang ngiti ng katiwasayan ang gumuhit sa kanyang mga labi. Handa na kami. Ang kanilang lihim, na dati isang mabigat na pasanin, ngayon ay isang bandila ng katatagan, ng pag-asa, at ng isang pag-ibig na, sa kabila ng lahat, ay tunay na walang dapat ikahiya. At sa liwanag ng bagong umaga, alam ni Lara na ang kwento nila ay magpapatuloy, hindi bilang isang trahedya, kundi bilang isang walang hanggang himno ng pagmamahal at pagbangon. Hinding-hindi na siya muling magtatago sa dilim. Dahil ang liwanag, natagpuan na niya, ay nasa loob pala mismo niya, at sa mga puso ng mga minamahal niya. Minamahal kong mga mambabasa. Una sa lahat, mula sa kaibuturan ng aking puso, maraming salamat. Salamat sa inyong walang sawang pagsubaybay sa paglalakbay ni Lara at Emil, mula sa unang kabanata kung saan sila'y pinagtagpo ng dilim, hanggang sa huling pahina kung saan natagpuan nila ang liwanag sa kani-kanilang paraan. Ang bawat oras na inilaan ninyo para silipin ang kanilang mundo ay isang malaking karangalan para sa akin. Ang pagsulat ng kanilang istorya ay isang emosyonal na paglalakbay para sa akin. Bawat salita, bawat eksena, ay parang paghabi ng mga piraso ng sarili kong puso. Para akong naging anino nila, saksi sa bawat ngiti, luha, takot at pag-asa. Sina Lara at Emil ay hindi lang mga karakter sa papel, naging bahagi sila ng aking pagkatao, at umaasa akong naging bahagi rin sila ng sa inyo, kahit sa sandaling panahon. May mga pagkakataong napapahinto ako, dinadama ang bigat ng kanilang mga pinagdadaanan, at may mga pagkakataon namang napapangiti ako sa simpleng kilig at pag-asang kanilang ibinabahagi. Sa likod ng bawat sakit at pait, nais kong iparating na ang pag-ibig, sa kahit anong anyo nito, ay hindi laging perpekto, hindi laging madali at minsan ay hindi sumusunod sa inaasahan ng lipunan. Ngunit kung ito'y totoo at nagmumula sa puso, ito'y may kakayahang maghilom, magbigay lakas at maging tanglaw. Ang buhay ay puno ng mga hindi inaasahang pagliko, mga pagsubok na susukat sa ating katatagan. Ngunit tulad ni Lara, naway makita natin na ang kakayahang bumangon, magsimula muli at yakapin ang pag-asa ay laging nasa ating mga kamay. Ang bawat tao ay may kanya-kanyang lihim, kanya-kanyang laban. Sana'y matuto tayong umunawa bago manghusga at magmahal ng walang kondisyon. Ngayon, nais ko namang marinig ang inyong tinig. Ano ang inyong naramdaman habang binabasa ang kwento ni Lara at Emil? Anong bahagi ang pinakanagmarka sa inyong puso? Anong aral o realisasyon ang inyong napulot? Huwag sana kayong mag-atubiling iwan ang inyong mga komento at saloobin. Ang inyong mga pananaw ay mahalaga sa akin. At kung ang kwentong ito ay nakaantig sa inyo, malaking karangalan para sa akin kung maibabahagi ninyo ito sa inyong mga kaibigan at mahal sa buhay, upang mas marami pa ang makakilala kina Lara at Emil at sa kanilang lihim na walang dapat ikahiya. Muli, maraming salamat. Naway nag-iwan ng kaunting init at inspirasyon sa inyong mga puso ang kwentong ito. Hanggang sa susunod nating pagkikita sa mga pahina ng panibagong kwento.